Are the Denver Broncos cooked without Bo Nix?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Not because Bo Nix isn't a above average high level quarterback. I think that Bo is a good quarterback and fits the system well, but he's also not a top 10 elite level quarterback. And I think Jarrett Stidham is a high level backup at the very least. I can name you guys probably 9, maybe 10 backup quarterbacks I think are better than Jarrett Stidham right now. Kirk Cousins.
What has Jarrett Stidham done to deserve this praise?
I think Jarrett Stidham is a. Well, we'll get into the rest.
Okay, all right.
I'll get into the rest of the reasons why I think that this fits.
Let's hear the quarterbacks.
Kirk Cousins, Mac Jones, Gardner Minshew, Joe Flacco, Jimmy Garoppolo, Marcus Mariota, Malik Willis, Jacoby Brissett, and Davis Mills. Other guys that some might say are better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really think I want to see Russell Wilson play any more football, but maybe some do. Drew Lock potentially. Tyler Huntley, Kenny Pickett if you want to.
Not Tyler Huntley. Not Drew Lock either.
There you go. So I think he's definitely in the upper half of the league in terms of backup quarterbacks. But the thing that excites me the most about Stidham and the opportunity he has is that if you remember 2 years ago when Bo was drafted, he won the starting job and Stidham was really disappointed. Like he believed he was a starting quarterback in the NFL, but he
thought he was going to get the start in New England after Tom Brady left.
He stuck around still despite not winning the starting job. And if you guys remember too, Sam Ehlinger had the chance to leave Denver and go to Indy when Daniel Jones got hurt. That was before they took in Phil Rivers. Like, Ehlinger was someone they seriously considered to step in and start for them. But he decided to stick around and stay on the practice squad in Denver. I think this is a quarterback room that is very confident in the development that they have under Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi, and is also very confident in their ability to execute this scheme if they have to step in.
I think you're actually leaving out the best possible example of, like, positive Jarrett Stidham propaganda. So for any Broncos fan
propaganda is an apt word I want to say about
this. If you want to feel
knows.
good about this and tell yourself that the season isn't over, go back to 2022. Now I know that was a while ago, and this is me wedging the Raiders into this somehow. But at the end of the Raiders season, that was Josh McDaniels' year, where they decided that they were going to be moving on from Derek Carr at the end of the year. So they benched him to make sure that he didn't get hurt and it didn't lock in any guaranteed money. They turned to Jarrett Stidham for a game against the 49ers, who at the time were the best defense in football, first in EPA per play. He comes out, he goes 23 of 34, 365 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. They almost win the game. They had no business being in that game, but they had a chance because of the way he played. And, I'm not making the case that he's like in line with Bo Nix or he can replace what Bo Nix has been doing, but I do think that he can throw the football pretty well. He's tough. He can move around a little bit. Again, not quite as well as Bo Nix, but he can do some things in this offense that I think Sean Payton can make work, and to a level that with what that defense provides on the other side of the ball can actually be a compliment and give them a chance in this game.
Yeah, like
he hasn't attempted a pass in a game since 2023.
Yeah,
How are we confident that he can still throw the football?
I'm not confident. I'm just saying don't rule it out.
What these guys are doing to Denver Broncos fans is one of the most twisted behaviors I've ever seen in my life.
Oh God,
I've never seen
this is two guys who are fans of teams in the AFC West. The last thing I want to give is Broncos fans.
No, what I'm saying is you're doing something gross to them, because the Broncos they have maybe one of the most heartbreaking moments I can remember in football fandom in a long time. They win a miraculous game in overtime, and then within minutes, it's announced that their starting quarterback broke a bone in his ankle. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. Yeah. And then they go through this whole cycle of like, we're absolutely screwed. There's no chance. Nothing's going to happen. And then we got Tyler and Wilkie trying to give them hope that Jarrett Stidham is going to win an AFC Championship. There isn't a chance in hell that Jarrett Stidham is going to win an AFC Championship game.
Listen, do you mind if let me give them more hope? Okay. Let's move on to this particular.
No, it's because these guys are AFC West fans that they're doing that.
Honestly, totally off base Nick Foles comparison. Go ahead.
No, it was not good. Okay. I would never do that. You know that I'm not a narrative guy. I'm more by the numbers and by what the eyes see. If you talk about teams in the league that I would give a better, or you'd be in a better situation to play a backup quarterback, I don't think there's one better than Denver, because best offensive line in football, especially when it comes to pass protection. Bo Nix ranks 27th in the league in average depth of target. This isn't an offense with a ton of nuance to it. I think it's very simple and not going to require a high level of play from Jarrett Stidham. They're a top 5 team in the league in yards after catch. Like, for a backup quarterback, I think this is a good situation. And there's the potential return of J.K. Dobbins. I don't know if you guys saw, but he did have his practice window activated. Now, am I very confident he's going to play in this game? I don't think so. But this is a situation for Stidham that I think breeds success. I think Lombardi and Payton are two great coaches to be able to execute a game plan over a week span. For a guy, like you said, he hasn't
Jonah's
attempted to pass
Jonah's
in 2
about
years.
to lose it.
No,
Jonah's about to lose it.
If Dobbins doesn't play, this run game has nothing.
100%.
Nada, no
100%.
juice. How do you overcome that?
But if you look at New England through the course of the 2 weeks of the postseason, like they have feasted on two of the worst offensive lines, maybe in the entire league. And obviously the numbers for them are fantastic when it comes to they've had a pressure rate of over 52%, 9 sacks. But if you remember this team throughout the season against a pretty pathetic schedule, they ranked 22nd in the league in sack rate. Like as a unit, I don't think this is one that can overcome what the Broncos' biggest strength is, now playing a team with competent offensive line play. So I think they can neutralize a defense that's had a ton of success as a result of opposing offensive lines that have been terrible.
But also, you have a lot of worry that the fact that even with all the turnovers that the Bills had last week, they still scored 30 points on what's supposed to be the most vaunted defense in the league in Denver. And that defense has not looked at the level that we're seeing the Seahawks defense play. It was supposed to be the best coming in. So if you have the MVP rolling into town and the way that he has those receivers playing, like that is a very dangerous matchup for them.
Yeah, I do think that the big part of that game, the Bills-Broncos game for me, was the way that the Bills were able to run the ball. I'm not sure that the Patriots are going to have the same level of success with Ramondre Stevenson and
they looked good last week.
Trayvon Henderson.
Ramondre was grinding them out last week.
Their run game just has not been at the same. I mean, the Bills are like a top 2 run game in the league, right? Like the Patriots are a lot closer to the bottom. Great. So, and my fear for the Patriots is that if you don't have any sort of run game and you're stuck in these third and long situations, that's where we're really going to see that pass protection struggle, as they did last week and as they had for much of this season. I mean, Drake Maye had 4 fumbles last week.
Yeah,
man, like 6. What does he have? 6 fumbles?
Again, Patriots are obviously the favorite in this one, but the case here is that if the Broncos can keep it close, 1 sack fumble can change everything. And with the Will Campbell struggling coming back from his injury. I think he's given up 9 pressures and 3 sacks over the last 2 games. They got to be orchestrating their entire game plan on making sure that he's not getting too many one-on-ones on the edge against Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, because that could change the game entirely.
So I don't want to dominate the conversation here too much, but if you know 2 things about Denver's defense, if you watch them all year, they play the highest rate of man coverage in the league, and Vance Joseph's defense loves to blitz, top 3 blitz rate. If you look at the numbers for Drake Maye against both of these things, against man, he's first in the league in completion percentage, 77%, 11.6 yards per attempt, leads the league, 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dominant. Best quarterback in the league, apparently, by the numbers. Against the blitz, nearly just as good. 67% completion percentage, 5th, 8.8 yards per attempt, 2nd. He's PFF's highest graded rusher when blitz, too, so he can escape the pocket and make plays with his legs. If you send those numbers, he can make you pay. 14 touchdowns to 1 interception. The one caveat I will say, he has been very, very susceptible to taking negative plays in terms of sacks when blitzed or against man. He's had the 7th most time to throw in blitz this year, which means those defenses that have been blitzing him, it's not because that's their schematic style. It's probably because they lack talent up front and can't get after the passer unless they blitz, and they've had to in those games. He ranks 32nd in pressure to sack rate when blitzed, 22 sacks, the 3rd most he's taken the entire league when blitzed. The same goes against man coverage. Only Cam Ward has a higher sack rate against man coverage than Drake Maye. Only Cam Ward has been sacked more times, 15 times, and a 31% pressure to sack rate. So this could be the case of Drake Maye hitting big plays against the Denver defense that's willing to play man-to-man and is pretty talented. Like, I do think they have the edge against a receiver core for New England that could be mitigated with a Pat Surtain-Stephon Diggs matchup, and then you need a Tayshaun Boutte, a Demario Douglas to step up, which I think is tougher to do. You could see the big plays, or you could see a lot of negative plays, and Drake Maye's been putting the ball on the ground a lot in the postseason against some of these elite defenses, too.
If Sean Payton takes the Denver Broncos to the Super Bowl with Jarrett Stidham, I personally will post up outside Mile High and build the statue.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of reluctant to go in this direction, but the parallels between the start of Drake Maye's career and the start of Tom Brady's career, they're getting a little bit more clear, a little more pronounced. If he loses this game, though, we have to abandon those forever, right? Because this feels like not a layup, but a pretty easy path into the Super Bowl for the Patriots, given that Denver doesn't have their starting quarterback. Is that fair to say?
No.
Okay.
I I'm just going to keep beating this drum because I've been doing it for weeks, is that I just don't want this game reduced to a battle of quarterbacks. I know it's like a pretty big gap between these two, considering we're talking about a backup against arguably the MVP of the league, but that's kind of the case I'm making here, is that I think the Broncos actually do have a better chance than even I was willing to make coming out of that game, because when I heard the news about Bo Nix, I was like, oh, it's over. Like, there's no chance now, right? But the more I've thought about it, I was like, this was going to be a close game anyway, and to your point, I don't necessarily see Bo Nix as that guy that's, leading the charge with.
He was pretty heroic last week. He played.
He did play well. He did play well.
Late game, he's been very good, and that could be something that decides this game. And maybe the Broncos don't win this game because they need a late game play that Jarrett Stidham might not be able to make the Bo Nix good.
Well, people, I think, don't need additional motivation to root against the Patriots, and well, they got it, because I mean, this is as Cinderella as a Cinderella story gets. The Broncos without their starting quarterback in the AFC Championship.
Pick them. Let's pick them. Let's pick them, Jonah. I want to pick them. Can we pick this game?
Sure.
Let's go. Who do you got, Wilkie?
I'm going to take the Broncos.
Oh, I thought that pause meant the Patriots for sure. A
Tyler,
begrudging
T-Mac?
New England selection.
I'm taking Denver 27-23.
Zach?
I'm taking the Patriots 31-14.
Yeah. Look, I picked the Patriots to make it to the Super Bowl before the postseason started. I ain't changing that prediction now. That Denver doesn't have their starting quarterback. New England.